Beach parking consultant presentation. Thank you for coming early and giving us your input based on the questions on the board. After you have the presentation this evening, you'll be allowed to continue. Consultants will still be here to answer your questions based on the presentation, take your comment, which will be incorporated as part of their final report that will be presented to the Commission sometime in late September. And in lines with the Commission, I'd like to welcome the commissioners that are here. Mayor Cleveland's here. I saw him. Commissioner McGurk, Jason McGurk, Commissioner Randy Hartman, Commissioner Lisa Martin. I did not see Vice Mayor Perrine, though. Is she here? She is not, but the Commission has authorized the contract with LTG Consultants to do a professional parking analysis of the city, to see what makes our parking tick, get their opinion on what's working, what's not working, make some recommendations, and gather your input. So at this time, I'd like to introduce the lead consultant on the project from LTG, Karl.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I should clarify that tonight we are very much focused on Flagler and Canal, so I did want to clarify that. Welcome tonight. Again, my name is Karl. I am with LTG. We are a traffic engineering and transportation planning firm in Ormond Beach. I hail from the city of DeLand, and it has been my honor to be the project manager throughout this process. I'm here tonight with our Director of Transportation Planning, Matthew West is here. LTG's support team, Crystal Bass, probably welcomed you. Christina Croswell is in the back there. And I rallied some volunteers who probably talked you through some of these boards. Kelly is back there and honored you. Thank you both for volunteering to do that. You'll hear later from the county. Hopefully you saw their booth over there. But let's start talking about parking. So when we talk about parking, we know that there is obviously a locational and a time element. So this is a picture I took on Memorial Day of this year. It was in May. And it's somewhere up on Atlantic and I think it was Sapphire. But if you go on Google Street View, you will find in June, a couple years earlier, same location, different time. Parking is highly dynamic. Now, when we started on this adventure, we learned early on that the city has been discussing parking for a long time. And fortunately, some critical elements have already been put in place that are pretty foundational to having a robust parking program. That's your parking enforcement division that sits under your city police department. And of course, enacting a paid parking program on the off-beach lots, which now provides you with a funding mechanism for future improvements. Series of conversations, there's some task forces, right? And there is this study. I just pulled out one. This timeline, I didn't want to get too long. This was specific to Flagler, and it was done by staff. And then in 2023, your city commission appointed its latest task force. I saw some of its members are here tonight. And they put forth some recommendations. And shortly thereafter, LTG was brought on to more fully look at Flagler Avenue as well as Canal. Now, I want to say our approach to parking as that traffic engineering planning firm is to look at parking holistically as part of sort of a transportation ecosystem. We did round out our team with a parking and mobility consultant, Jonathan Paul, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. But that was the team we rounded out. So let's start with some facts. Okay, so this is the city of New Smyrna Beach's population growth over time. The National Parking Association will tell you something you probably intuitively know, that a fundamental indicator of parking demand is population growth. And what you're seeing here, the earliest decennial census I could find, you were around 600. And throughout the years, we've grown to 30,000. In fact, the latest estimates put it more at like 32,000 with projections continually showing growth. And what you've seen is every 10 years, double-digit increases with the exception of 1930 to 1940, Great Depression, so that makes sense. This is just a fun fact, but a lot of people know Volusia County gets a lot of its in-migration from the state of New York, but you may not know that that's the number 2 state. The number 1 state where we get our in-migration to Volusia County is actually Florida. It's ourselves. It's other counties coming to Volusia County. With Seminole County, this is a little bit dated, but you could see Seminole County really leads the pack, and you may know someone yourself. I know a couple who have recently moved from Seminole County. So we have a lot of cars to park in New Smyrna Beach. This is a count of vehicles owned by the different households in New Smyrna Beach. This is based on an American Community Survey through the census. This is more interesting when you look at it in relation to the population. So as a population in orange, proportionately, the city owns a lot of vehicles. And the city spends a lot of time in their vehicles. For those who commute, this is an average commute time for City of New Smyrna Beach residents, 29.2. You compare that to our neighboring coastal communities and the county as a whole, and you can see they're commuting a bit longer than what others in this county do. There are some reasons for that. Okay, let's talk about traffic numbers now. So if you take the volume of traffic on a segment of a road for the whole year and you divide it by 365, you get basically a very simplified daily traffic count, okay, to give you a sense of volume. On Flagler, it's been about 10,000 year over year until just in 2023, it drops down to 8,100. And that is likely because end of 2022, you had Hurricanes Ian and Nicole that damaged parts of the beach, and that clearly influenced how many people were driving down Flagler. This is in both directions. Canal, on the other hand, has been down at around the 5,000s, pops up to 7,200 and holds there to 7,600. Some of you might have some hypotheses on the reason for that. I've talked to some folks. We're still kind of curious. There was a major intersection improvement at US 1 and Canal, potentially, that ended in 2021. So let's talk about the dynamic on Flagler versus Canal based on industry type. What you're seeing here is roughly 100 businesses in the Flagler area, and I sorted them by an industry type, and primarily it is hotel, retail, restaurant, and that feels right, that seems right, clearly. And what do they all have in common is that they rely on visitors. And I want to make sure we're sharing the same nomenclature. When I say visitor, I mean resident or non-resident, right? Some of you go down to Flagler. They rely on you to visit. The retail and restaurant particularly need foot traffic. Parking full is a great thing, right? But on Canal, you have retail and restaurant as half that is relying on the foot traffic, and the office, I'm calling it, those kind of 8 to 5 workers who just want to reliably find a parking space Monday through Friday. So you have this sort of tension on different interests when it comes to parking. And again, kind of goes back to that dynamic nature of the situation. Flagler, this is Volusia County was kind enough to share their beach traffic counts. This is number of cars per month over the course of several years that have entered the beach. These are actual counts. Now, some of these, Jessica did point this out to me, that some of these could be repeat folks coming back to the beach in a day. But nevertheless, the point of this was to quantify your peak seasons. You probably all feel what the peak season is, but this really quantifies it based on beach traffic. And you're probably thinking, well, that's not everyone who comes to the beach. What about the hotels? Well, they have a tourist development tax that they have to pay. It's called the bed tax. And that actually has a statistically significant correlation to the beach traffic. It kind of moves up and down with it. So we feel like we've quantified pretty well the peak season. This is the beach traffic zeroed in on May. This is daily, and I'm sure any of you can guess what the peaks are, what the troughs are. Peaks are weekends. And just to give a sense of scale, because remember, this is not showing who's coming off the beach. That data we don't have it yet. But just for a sense of scale, we did a little math. That line represents basically the capacity of your beach. Your stretch of beach can reasonably hold 2,100 vehicles, densely, parked compactly. So I did not want to show the differential because I don't, this is not to say that many cars are just wandering around, but it gives you a sense that there is this overflow and there is that circulation of people who can't get on the beach. Okay, so I'm getting to my, the pinnacle here. So we've kind of looked at this as two things. You have the parking as an issue, and you have the beach traffic as a separate issue, and they will require different approaches to address. If you want to get at the crux of some of these issues that are radiating throughout your community, you have to understand how do you manage the beach demand. So these strategies around the room are going to help you maximize existing parking. It addresses your supply. But can you actually manage the demand? Can you more rationally distribute that traffic throughout the day or throughout the area? And we think yes. Demand management, what it's going to take is an investment in technology. It's about how you communicate with people so that they can make decisions about where they want to go. And we're talking Disney level technology. And I do think there's opportunity to learn from some of these practices. So again, we didn't have a board on this, but I want to say it again. These strategies, and they're all important and need to be implemented. We need to take action. Some of you saw the take action board, which by the way was just the low-hanging fruit. It's not the end-all be-all. These boards are to get your input to put together a more comprehensive short-term, long-term game plan. But ultimately, we also need to think about the demand side of the calculation and ways that you can influence that beach demand. The task force did recommend this. I think it was one of their #1 recommendations. We were uncertain at first, but we've kind of uncovered, as you saw just from the actions to take and the strategies around the room, that there is certainly could warrant a mobility department, because you need someone who is focused on this to ask the questions, to get the information, to enact these different strategies. And with that, do know after this, I'm going to have the county come up and speak to you. Oh, we were streaming live for those online. If you want to send me an email, I can send you those boards that people are interacting with. But Jessica, I'm going to have her come up from Volusia County Coastal Division. And do know after this, we're going to break for a Q&A. So, but Jessica first.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, Kerry, for the invitation, and to the City of Smyrna Beach. We also appreciate the opportunity to come and speak before you today. I do have some exciting information for you. You may have heard a couple of weeks ago the county implemented a new paid off-beach parking program. Perfect. It's going to be effective January 1st, 2025. It will be a license plate recognition program, so similar to New Smyrna Beach on how you register your license plate. That's how we're going to track our visitors to our parks and then provide enforcement. You know how if you run the toll road going to Orlando, you get a, pay this bill by mail, and if you don't have cash on you, we can still get our back end of it. We're going to have annual pass registrations online. I'm really excited about this. Right now with the city, I know you either have to go to the police department or you have to upload some documents. We're talking very closely with the city, but the vendor that we've selected for off-beach parking has a 90% real-time verification of your residency status. Now, there are those people that have their very special, unique circumstance, and you may have to do a document upload, but if your vehicle is registered in Volusia County in your name with the Volusia County address, it's instantaneous, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you're not good at the internet and you don't want to, I don't trust the government because I work for the government, but if you want to go to a brick and mortar and meet a person and show them your documents, that's also going to be an option as well. We also have text to pay. If you go to like Tallahassee and you start parking in these urban areas, you have the option to pay by text. You have the option to pay out of garages by text. It's just another method to make it a little bit easier in case you don't have cash on you that day and you can't put quarters in a meter. We are moving to a cash-free operation, which kind of makes us feel a little bit better that the county's getting every red cent that we're supposed to get. The The biggest thing, and I want everybody to leave here with this to-do list on their list. I want you to download the Volusia Beaches app. Volusia Beaches app. Today, you can figure out if your favorite beach ramp is open or closed. We live back in Corbin Park behind the Tractor Supply. My husband surfs. He does go to the beach 4 times a day on a Saturday when the waves are killing it. And he doesn't know if the beach is open or closed for capacity or tide. So what does he do? He pulls up his Volusia Beaches app and he goes, what is Beachway doing? Oh, Beachway is closed, but Crawford's open. That's how I'm getting on the beach. Download the Volusia Beaches app. We're going to be doing a major overhaul of our app come this January. When we start doing paid off-beach parking, we're going to have a location feature on there where you can say, find the closest parking to me. Your cell phone will pull your location, and you know what? There's a little hidey hole on 12th Avenue that you may be able to find parking spaces. I'm sorry if you live on 12th Avenue and that's your spot, but if you're looking for parking, it will get you to a real validated parking spot versus illegal parking in communities. So download the Volusia Beaches app. You can also find staff lifeguard towers, restroom locations, dune walkovers, ADA access, bathrooms, all the things that you need for a good beach adventure. You can also find your tides on that app as well. The county will have a vendor that will do enforcement. Just like I said, when you ride the toll roads to Orlando, you get a letter in the mail in about a week saying, hey, you ran the toll, you didn't have a sun pass, you owe us X dollars. We're going to be able to do the same thing if you end up in a beach lot and you don't have cash on you. The vendor that we have selected has similar programs in Florida. They do Destin, they do Satellite Beach. So we know that this technology works because they're currently doing it in Florida, and they're doing it well. We're expecting a full rollout on January 1st. Christmas is going to be really fun for the Coastal Division. We're going to open a registration for the paid off-beach parking pass on October. The city graciously agreed to allow us to have their resident pass information so we can automatically enroll you. You may get a contact email saying verify, and then once a year you'll have to just update your information. We are going to do an extended public messaging. If the portal is open in October to start registering vehicles, then we're going to start our public messaging in October about our paid off-beach parking program. We want our residents, we know that some of your businesses depend upon tourists who aren't residents. We want to get that messaging out there as quickly as possible, give everybody the opportunity to sign up, and it'll go into effect in January. We are going to have parking ambassadors. I know kiosks and pay by text and some of these options may be a little strange for some people, or maybe you've never had to pay at Hiles and you just, what is this? What's going on? We're going to have ambassadors out there. We're going to have significant signage. We'll help you register on site at the parking lots to try and make it as easy as possible for our residents and our tourists. And as a reminder, parking in Volusia County's off-beach parking is from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. And One Volusia, or One Parking, PCI Municipal Services is the contractor that was selected for the county's paid off-beach parking program. They are hiring. I do have some information at my desk if you'd like to come and get some information about part-time work. So here's the big question. How much is it going to cost? Residents and property owners are going to be free. And if you have a resident pass with the city of New Smyrna Beach, we're going to carry that over and we're going to register you for our system complimentary. Visitors are going to have $100 a year, which is very affordable. Daily rates, $20 a day, and as always, handicapped, disabled veterans are complimentary to our beaches. So I'm over in the corner. If you guys have any questions, please come by and visit. I would love to be able to work with our community on making a successful parking program and bring some revenue in here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica and your staff, Kerry and your staff. Now's your time to go back out on the floor, ask questions based on a little bit of what you heard this evening, read the boards, provide us your input, ask the questions that you need to have. Your input is important for us to get the most accurate and hopefully customer-friendly services out there for you to accommodate the parking issues in New Smyrna Beach. Again, thank you for coming this evening. Let's get your input. As a final thing, somebody lost some earbuds, red earbud box. I'll leave it up here for you. Thank you.